Something different. We're going to talk about blood sugar, and here we are at the end of August. It's August 30th, 2020, and the year is passing fast, and hopefully things become better next year. We've had a rough year with the COVID-19 problem. And the reason I wanted to talk about blood sugar, I know that many of us have a problem with high glucose readings when we get our blood taken. And I have found something that is questionable that helps reduce the blood glucose in your blood. And we'll discuss that in a few minutes. But let's go ahead into my little laboratory, my little home laboratory, just like I have a home studio. I like to do research on stuff that helps my health be better. So, meet you in the lab. Well, here I am in my little home laboratory. I've set up to do some of these experiments. The reason I have two iPads here is a lot of times I have to have a timer on one, and then I have a glucose program I devised in Word to log in my glucose readings so I could compare them. And the way I do that is I normally take what's considered as a baseline figure. That's taking a blood test, getting a numerical number that the blood glucose has dictated, and before I eat anything. Now the product that we're going to talk about it's Lily's baking chips. It's chocolate, and being a chocoholic, I tried these from what I heard from people in Weight Watchers, and decided that let me try doing a little research on them, glucose readings, to see what it does to my blood. And what happened was that I did a baseline figure of 83 of 103, and then I did a one hour test and then a 2 hour test, and it just progressively come down, both the 1 hour and 2 hours. This surprised me, because normally you get a spike after 1 hour. You're digesting the food, and your blood glucose, as normal, will spike, never come down. And of course it's good if it comes down, and progressively comes down. And eating these, and I ate 13 of them, which gives 0 points in Weight Watchers. And they're little dudes, and I'll show them to you in a few minutes when I get ready to do my test or do my eating after I do a baseline figure. But what I'll do now is I'll do a baseline blood test. Now, to do my test, I have a management system. It's called AccuCheck. It's a good management system. It's devised of the meter, of course, test strips, the lancet, and this one comes in a kind of a device that does a quick little teeny hole. In fact, I've never been a big bleeder, even though I do a lot of fish oil. It seems like that I have to squeeze mighty hard to get blood out of me, like getting blood out of a turnip, of course. But I will do that now and do a baseline figure. So I'll have to write it down so I can make sure I get it into my chart in my computer. So the first thing, of course, is to make sure the finger you're going to use is clean, and keep cotton balls with alcohol here. And I found the best way to, of course, for me, the best finger, of course, is the biggest finger, middle finger, and make sure it's cleaned up good, just like they always do when you go to the docks or when you go to the laboratories downtown. Get it cleaned up, prep your machine by getting a strip out. And people that do this frequently, that are diabetics, or two, that one landed right in a big flaming doohickey of alcohol. That wasn't not going to be any good. So I gotta redo this. I must have dripped alcohol down over the thing. So prep it by putting your strip in the machine, but don't push it too hard to where it starts. So, and remember, of course, if you got your machine, you know how it operates. I don't need to tell you that. Next thing, of course, is to stick the finger with the lancet. Now, a lot of people like to stick their fingers on the side. I've found that I don't have real big fatty fingers, and I hadn't done hot water on them, so all I can do, the best I can do, is hope that I get a good hole. If I don't, I have to trigger this thing again and get another lancet. There's 6 lancets in this thing, so let's try it. Okay, I stuck it. Now somewhere I've got a hole in there, and there she comes. So as you can see, I have to squeeze pretty hard to get the blood out. Push this in, it turns the machine on, it's prepping, and I had enough on there to cause it to read. I got an 86 this morning as my baseline figure. That's good blood glucose reading, 86. So I'm pleased with that being my baseline. These little chocolates are going to have to work mighty hard to bring it down much lower than that, because that's a pretty low baseline figure. So we will see until when I get ready to unpackage the chips, show you what chips look like, and I'll divvy me out 13 chips, and I'll eat them, and then an hour after I finally digested or ate them, swallowed them, then I'll turn my timer on, and an hour later we'll film what the first reading is, and see, and hope for the best. Hopefully these chips do what they did yesterday in constantly reducing the blood sugar. I don't want it too low. Don't want you get a little weak and sassy looking if you get your sugar too low. So stick with me. Okay, in here I'm showing a little picture of the computer and the program I have built basically to log in my readings, keep track of them, and as you can see that I have now logged in the baseline figure of 86, and if I can bring it up a little closer, might be a lot. But the baseline reading at 9 o'clock, 9 in the morning, it was 86. It was just a few minutes ago. And what I'm going to show now, it will be the chips. They're little teeny chips, so I'll be using about 13. I'll be eating 13 of them. So as you can see, very small, but if they're healthy and they help in blood sugar, they're well worth the effort. So I will be eating 13 of those little boogers, and hopefully we get a good number. So there's the package, and if we can do this machine right, we'll go back out a little. Lilies. I don't know how many I put in the jar here, but let me count out 13. I don't believe I counted out the 13. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I believe I got 13 right there. Little, nothing like the big chips you're used to getting. But like I said, if you can use it as a tasty medicine, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And for the purpose of getting them in there to digest, I'm going to eat them all at one time. Throw them in my mouth and chew them up and digest them and let them work for a few hours and see what kind of response I get. My body gets on them. You don't want to overdo on any kind of sweet items, regardless of what it's sweetened with. It is sweetened with stevia, which is a sweetener I use and have been using for years and years, because I've always had, being retired Army, I've had checks and blood tests by many, always had high glucose. Even when it was in the range, it was always on the high end of the range. And I'm sure you do too. There's many out there that do it and they want to know what to do. And they become pre-diabetics. Don't be like me. Become a pre-diabetic, never had a doctor talk to me about doing anything. Never got my attention until it popped over on my A1C over the mark after the American Diabetic Association had reduced their standard to 6.5 as diabetic, and it went up to 6.5, and my doctor said, "You're now a diabetic." So that got my attention, and that's why I do all this. Now, I brought that A1C down a long time ago, below to pre-diabetic. But even that, you need to get it under control before it does damage. I think I have seen some damage in me. So, okay, we're working on the hour. What I'll do is I'll bring up my timer in this computer. And go. Timer. 1 hour. And what we'll be looking at is about 10:02. I'll be checking my blood for that 1 hour reading. Be back. As the time is moving along, counting down the hour to about 10:02, I want to discuss the chart where I keep track of the glucose. So let's take a look at the chart here. Hopefully this chart is blown up enough that you can actually read it online. As you can see here, that I did the first readings yesterday on this dark chocolate, and I got a baseline of 109. And then I took it, I took it an hour later, and after the hour wait, I got 100, so it had minus 9 points. That's what that stands for. 100 minus 9 means that the blood actually come down instead of spiking in that 1 hour, first hour. It actually come down. It reversed under that. Now, one of the things that we want to do here is do it for 2 hours, because 2 hours is the clinical standard, and that's the standard they use to determine. All clinics, when they do a test like this, that's the time they use to determine the elevation of the blood glucose. they feel at that time the blood or the food has completely been digested in the bloodstream, and if there's going to be a raise in your glucose, you'll get the best reading in 2 hours. So in 1 hour it was down 9 points, and in 2 hours, instead of raising it was even down more. It was down from 100 to 90, which is actually 19 points lower than the baseline figure. The figure I took before I even ate the 13 chocolates, Lily's dark chocolate baking chips. So my baseline today is going to start out here at 86, and then I'll do a 1 hour once again. Hopefully it's down. Hopefully it follows this trend right here. This is down, and hopefully a 2 hour will be down even more, if we're fortunate, which will give a good report and a backup confirmation on this test, which you always got to do it again to see if this was what happened. And hopefully this comes out similar, down versus popping up. But if it does spike up a little bit, we're looking at it to be very slightly spike up in 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, we'll see you when the time runs down. We've still got about 43 minutes or so, 40 some seconds. This is the supplies needed to be able to take blood tests. It includes, of course, a box of fast click AccuCheck lancets. There's 6 in a barrel here. This is a barrel, has 6 in there. Then of course you got the item that you loaded into, and it helps you click the little needle into your finger quickly so you don't fill it. And then if you got the meter itself here, the test strips, you buy them in a 50 test strip container. This is a test strip that's in the meter. This particular management system is the AccuCheck Guide Me. Okay, the 2 hour clinical time is now up, and I'm going to do the 2 hour test, which will be the clinical standard. So the first we're going to do is bring some blood. Oh, good blood there. And then the meters are working. 96. 96, which is a doggone good test after 2 hours. So we'll be discussing this a little bit longer on the product that we're testing for. The experiment is finished, and as you can see, that particular chocolate doesn't spike the blood sugar much at all. In fact, if anything, it doesn't spike it at all. It's Lily's baking chips, dark chocolate baking chips. This is not an advertisement for Lily's. I only got to know about these just lately, but they don't have the real sugary taste that we like so much, the milk chocolate taste, or dark chocolate, which I've been eating for a long time, the 55% cocoa. They're not bad for a chocolate freak like me that loves chocolate. I have to find something that prevents my blood glucose from spiking too very high to keep me as healthy as I can. Now, for years, my blood glucose has been high in the range. Doctors never said I had a problem. They always said all's well with your blood test. And so if you're up in that high range, if the range is top notch is 100 and you're running 123 or whatever of your fasting test, you're running high. So make sure that you pay attention to them. If they tell you all's going well and you think your blood and sugar is running high, you've been conscious about it, get another opinion somewhere. They have metformin they can put you on, and I understand they put a lot of pre-diabetics on now to prevent them from getting any higher. and end up putting you in as a diabetic. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope this helped a little bit. At least for your junk.